All right, you ready to get started?
Sure.
In the middle of gunfire and napalm, soldiers reported something not human throwing boulders at them. These soldiers unleashed a full auto fire not on the enemy, but on creatures in the trees. Let's find out what exactly happened in the firefight and why it was never reported to the public.
Dun, dun, dun.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the GITM podcast, where we cover the true crime, the paranormal, cryptids, all that happy shit.
My adjustment didn't work well at all.
UFOs.
I just slowly watched it fall back down because I didn't tighten that one joint enough.
You gotta get it tight.
Just right in my face.
You gotta get it tight. But tonight we're covering Bigfoot.
Fist distance.
If you did not hear our beautiful intro or whatever that's intro.
Our hook.
That hook was lame. I need to do better.
I can be the hook man.
I could do better than that.
You have to do a voice.
No, I say I'm not gonna cheese it up.
We have to like montage a bunch of pictures of Bigfoot in the middle of gunfire and napalm. Soldiers reported something not human throwing boulders at them. These soldiers unleashed full auto fire, not on the enemy, but on creatures in the trees. Let's find out what exactly happened in that firefight and why it was never reported to the public.
You're hired. There you go. You will get to do the pre-intro.
Or I'll do all of them in Transformer movie trailer voice.
I think you should do them in Mike Tyson, personally.
In the middle of gunfire and napalm.
In the middle of gunfire and napalm, soldiers reported something not human throwing boulders at them. These soldiers unleashed full auto fire, not on the enemy, but on creatures in the trees. Let's find out what exactly happened in that firefight and why it was never reported to the public.
It doesn't have the same bite, does it? No.
Yeah, right. You got to get a...
All right, we will get started with that. If you're familiar with the podcast, we do talk a little shit before we get started.
Yeah, apparently something with a Mexican streamer that I don't know anything about.
Fly. Anyway, the cartel did a hit.
Oh, that's not that surprising.
Live on YouTube.
Oh,
or TikTok or whatever it was.
That stream must have been fuego.
She must have got in with the wrong people. Guaranteed views spiked.
I bet.
Maybe that's what we got to do. Maybe one of us is going to have to get whacked.
I wonder if there was any like really fun music playing in the background when it happened. Like it was just a dude getting executed. Is it la cucaracha, la cucaracha? Whatever the rest of the words are. Dun, dun, dun.
Let's see. We offended the Asians last week. Now we're going to offend the Latino.
Hey, I backed up my Asian hypothesis the other night at the bar.
Yes, we did, and
you were there.
I was there.
It was your idea.
It was my idea,
and it held true.
It was. Well, I might as well tell the story.
Oh, we were sitting. If anybody didn't catch it, I've always said that Asian know Asian, and any self-respecting Asian person should be able to guess the familial background of another Asian person within 3 educated guesses. So we were sitting at the bar, and a young Asian gentleman was across the bar, and you, with your racist whiteness, went, your theory, your 3 guesses? I said, yeah. And he said, what about that guy? And I was like, I sat there, I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll go find out right now. And I got up, I'd never met this young man, and I walked around the bar, and I said, I interrupted a conversation and everything. I said, I'm an Asian American, and I have this theory that either one of us can guess each other's background in 3 guesses. And he was like, they were like, yeah, ha, ha, ha. And I was like, no, watch, I'm telling you, it'll happen. And I was like, he was like, what's your first guess? I was like, I'm going to go safe and say Filipino because they're across the board. I didn't think he was actually Filipino. And then he said, no. I said, jungle? And he said, yes. And I said, Vietnamese. And he said, yes. And then he was like, he tried to do me, and I forget what he guessed for. I think he guessed Korean, which is pretty close.
I mean, I can
pretty close. A lot of Korean people have a lot of Japanese blood in them. And then I said, and I, mind you, I said 3 guesses, and I said, I'll give you one hint that only another Asian person will get. And he said, what is it? I said, I'm better than you.
Oh.
And he said, Chinese, immediately. I was like, nope, keep going up. And he said, Japanese. I was like, there you go. 3 guesses. Works every time.
So,
But
the funny thing is, we were talking about that theory with somebody else. Oh, that's low, Gonzo.
It's gay. Because gay.
I got it. Pride month's over. My month's over.
Gonzo, send a link of this live stream to 10 of your friends.
You got to have 10 friends first.
The ones with the least, the lowest level of social decorum.
Yeah. But what was funny, we'll get to Bigfoot in a minute. We'll get to the Asian.
Bigfoot can wait.
We'll get to the Vietnamese. I wonder if the Vietnamese Bigfoot can pick the North American Bigfoot out in 3 guesses. Yeti's easy.
Would a Vietnamese Bigfoot just be like foot to us? if our Bigfoot is like 8 feet tall,
funny you mentioned
giant,
that.
is Vietnamese Bigfoot like 6 foot tall?
When we get into this, funny you should mention, there's a stereotype that comes up.
It's a pygmy.
No, I wouldn't go that far, but it's funny. We'll get to that. But funny thing about our story you were just telling about, we were discussing this theory before said young man even came in.
Mm-hmm.
It was like God spoke to us.
Yeah.
And said, test
And he
it.
said, hey, what about that fucking... never mind.
But if you haven't noticed, we're going to Vietnam, and we're talking Bigfoot, so it'll be another racist episode.
I walked over, I said, what's up, Ho Chi Man? And then it was funny, I was coming out of the bathroom, and he was playing darts with the people he was there with. Because apparently, I had met the bigger guy he was there with. I'd met him a couple times.
Doesn't he work at one of those restaurants that always come in? Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they just met that kid, the Asian kid, like that night. But I came out of the bathroom and they were all playing darts, and he was like, he'll do it with my eyes closed. He threw a dart, and I stopped. I said, brother, our eyes are already small enough. We can't risk this type of behavior.
Yeah. But so I'm sure this will be offense. We're just staying in Asia. We're just going to offend the Asians.
We're ching-chonging it.
But
we're staying on the east side.
Yeah. Anything else you would like to discuss before we get...
I don't know. Is there anything crazy going on in the world?
I think the war's over.
Is it?
Already? Fuck, I don't know. I don't care.
I saw a really good Palestine joke on Kill Tony. He was like, basically, he was just like, Palestine? That's funny. I don't think they're pals with any Steins. I was like,
I get it. Good one. Good one. I haven't seen any good TV. There's a fly or something wrong.
Yeah, I keep seeing it out of the corner of my eye.
It's going to piss me off.
Which is my whole eye.
Never mind. Anyway,
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's talk about Bigfoot in the Vietnam War. Apparently, we were just not fighting the Viet Cong. Is that a racist term?
I don't know. We're Viet Cong?
No.
There you go. There's the name for it. Viet Cong, or just Viet Cong.
In 1966, there was an incident near Dong Den. You have to laugh.
Dude, you were 1 day late for that one.
Why?
Dong Den would have been you would have been a hero for bringing up Dong Den yesterday.
Why?
When it was still June.
Oh. In South Vietnam, the U.S. Marines, possibly the 3rd Marine Division, but that is debatable. The company that this happened to, there are reports, there are witnesses, there are people that have come forward, but it's debated on what, I guess, company.
If it was,
You're
telling me we're losing, are we losing frames?
I don't know.
We are. Huh.
Oh.
I don't understand it.
I fucking updated it.
We're hardwired. We still shouldn't be losing frames.
We'll find that. Well, we're going to keep rolling with it.
Oh, we just totally lost signal. It's back. Well, I am on Wi-Fi. Maybe that's fucking it up. It shouldn't, in theory.
I knew I shouldn't have freaking updated the OBS.
Damn it, Jim.
But anyway,
might just need to start upgrading the computer slowly too. It is some pretty old technology.
Yeah. Anyway, but like I was saying, the actual troop or the actual platoon. What is it?
Gregory's our top fan, apparently.
Hey, yeah.
He's got a little crown.
Good job, Gregory. Well, it doesn't get you shit, but that's okay. The actual division or the platoon, it's debated, so we don't. They were Marines. They were on a standard recon and patrol, which they were basically trying to watch for Viet Cong movement in the area. They took up a position on a ridge when they began hearing strange vocalizations.
What the fuck is happening?
I don't know.
The drop is instantly going up.
Because it's just continually dropping frames. But well,
I know, it's just weird.
that's all right. Remember, I put up the video anyway. The video is fine.
Eventually.
No, the video will be fine.
Yeah, the stream's just going to
The
suck.
stream's going to suck. Oh, so 5 people won't like it. Oh, looks like we're released back up. Anyway,
It
what was
looks like that. Wait.
What?
I think the internet might have just fucking flunked for a second. Because now we're back. I think the internet just went out.
Yeah, very well.
Yes! It wasn't our fault. We did things good.
Yes.
Fuck you, Spectrum.
Anyway, they took up position on a ridge when they began hearing strange vocalizations. It was not any known language that they could recognize.
Oh, is this not to interrupt, but is this kind of like the Sierra Nevada tapes or whatever? Have you heard those?
Yeah, I've heard them.
Okay.
I didn't hear any tapes.
Oh yeah, it was war. We don't have time for that shit.
But like I said, it wasn't a language, but it wasn't animal-like either. It was a high-pitched, almost laughing sound.
Like, huh?
And one
Is that
of
the only description of it?
well, I'm gonna
Like laughter, like a. Go ahead.
well one soldier actually said it was like a cross between a monkey and a woman laughing. Wouldn't that be a cackle?
Grandma?
Grandma, is that you? At first, they believed it was some psychological warfare going on
Sick.
by the good old Viet Cong. As night fell, movement.
Is that how you spell Viet Cong?
I think so.
So Viet, just make it a K, and you've got the name of this cryptid, Viet Cong.
Oh, there you go. As night fell, movement was detected in the bush. In the bush. I like detecting movement in the bush. What are we looking at?
I think it fully snapped back from the internet snafu.
Shapes started darting in and out of the trees. Then came the infamous activity that everybody's heard about, the rock throwing. Large stones were hurled from the jungle with enough force to injure, ooh, that was a nice spelling mistake, or even kill.
Where?
Right there.
Injure?
Yeah.
Injure.
I wanted to be French for a while.
I think it sounds more Italian. My name is Injure.
One soldier reportedly had his helmet knocked off by a direct hit. Expecting an ambush, because you gotta remember, this time they didn't know exactly what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, this was just normal Vietnam activity.
Expecting an ambush, the Marines opened up fire according to most accounts. They fired for about 10 to 15 minutes using their M16s, throwing grenades, and throwing flares, trying to light the jungle on fire.
I was gonna say, what the fuck is this? That one scene from Predator where they just chop down trees? Jesse Ventura just going ham with that Gatling gun.
One soldier was quoted saying, "We were firing at something that wasn't returning fire, but it wasn't running away either." The aftermath of what was going on after that night. At first light, the squad searched the area. No enemy combatants were found. No blood trails. Typically, you would think firing that many fucking shit, 15 minutes worth of
You'd hope you'd hit something.
automatic gunfire, you'd hit something.
I was gonna say, was L. Ron Hubbard their commanding officer? Is that why they just didn't hit shit?
Yeah, but what they did find large footprints, larger than a human, and it was barefoot, tufts of reddish hair snagged on the trees, possible droppings unlike anything they've ever seen. So massive
They found
dumps.
poop.
Massive dumps. So let me get this straight. These Bigfoot are so fucking badass. They were getting fired on by M16s
Oh,
and then taking a dump. What's up?
I think our live stream got ended.
It says it's still on. We're still getting viewers, so anyway. I'll just put this back up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just being wonky. Fuck it. Go ahead.
Like I said, they found tufts of red hair snagged on the trees, possible dumps. Took a shit in the woods while they're being fired at, but no bodies. Whatever they shot at either fled or wasn't even fucking hit.
Could you imagine the?
Or these were stormtroopers fucking.
Could you imagine the guy that went to investigate this after the fact? Like he's out in the woods, like probably some fucking. Let's keep it, traditionally racist as war movies are. It's some dude that's like clearly Native American that has like one feather in his helmet that's like tracking it.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you find? Like, just like in fucking Predator. They had one of those guys in Predator.
Oh, the
giant Native American guy that was like, how? And you just got one of these guys in the middle of the jungle in Vietnam, and they're like, Tonto, what do you got? Where'd they head? What kind of platoon was it? He's like, one man. Don't know what who he was with. He was barefoot. Big old ginger. Only thing he left behind was he must have stopped and completely just dumped out. All I found was bare footprints and shit.
Okay, now.
But the weird part is, no footprints are near the shit. I think he did it midair.
Now, like I said, there was no bodies found, so they didn't know what to make of this situation. Naturally, they went back to camp or base or whatever, and they told their
Charlie
COs,
Sheen's house?
yeah, Charlie Sheen's house. They told their COs there was never been an official report ever filed on the Rock Ape encounter.
That sounds racist.
Rock Ape. Soldiers were allegedly told to shut up and stop talking about it. One veteran claimed that their CO told them, "You shot monkeys. That's all."
Racist.
That's what we're going to say. Now, the skeptics, we like to bring the skeptic side of this. Jungle monkeys or gibbons.
Jungle monkeys, that's racist. Holy shit. I don't think you had to throw in jungle. I'm pretty sure just monkeys.
Whatever. Don't they have a kind of monkey in Vietnam? In the jungle?
Just have monkeys.
Okay, monkeys. Whatever.
Monkeys, I think, only live in the jungle. For the most part.
Well, jungle monkey has a nice ring to it.
They're neighbors with bunnies.
What exactly is a gibbon? You're the animal expert of the show.
That was so racist. You didn't even catch that one, did you?
No.
The jungle monkeys are their neighbors.
I got it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Eee.
Damn, son.
Taking it back.
What is a gibbon? Do you know what
It's a type of monkey.
is? Is that the Friends?
No, that's a capuchin, I think.
Oh, okay.
Gibbons are, if I don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure gibbons are like bigger and like lankier.
But I really wasn't being racist. This is what the CO said.
I wasn't being racist, it just is.
But naturally there's a problem with this. Yes, there are monkeys in the jungle. Is that better?
In Vietnam.
In Vietnam.
Vietnam.
However, there are no gorilla-sized primates in said jungle.
Is there?
That I'm aware of.
There's no orangutans in Vietnam, is there?
Well, I don't think orangutan. Clyde can't be
Red hair?
but not. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
And they get pretty fucking big.
That's true. Right turn, Clyde.
Orangutans. Oh, well, that wasn't a very big orangutan. But I don't know. I don't know if there's orangutans in.
I don't know.
Did you know that their name has nothing to do with the color of their fur?
Okay.
Orangutan, and they're like orange, like reddish hair.
I never really
has nothing to do with their number. It's a like a Belizean, not Belizean, like fuck, what nation? It's a literal translation of another language. It means like man of the jungle.
Really?
Which could lend to this.
Man of the jungle.
They found red hair, footprints, They wouldn't be very human though.
Yeah.
And orangutans don't. I think they can walk bipedally for like a step or two, but traditionally they don't.
I know Clyde could walk for a while.
Have you ever seen a big orangutan?
No.
Like with the fucking plate face and shit like that?
Just at the zoo.
They get, oh yeah, they get big.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Huh.
Not like gorilla big, but.
Anyway, stress. Getting back to the skeptic side of this, because we like to be skeptical too. Stress hallucinations.
Sick.
Hallucinations.
That's the
Possibly.
best part of the show.
What?
Gregory was in Lorna Shore's new music video.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
You'd hate it.
Probably. Stress. The amount of stress that these American soldiers, or any soldier in wartime.
Are you coming up on the stress hallucinations?
Yeah.
It was Vietnam. Are we really going to pretend that they were stress hallucinations and not just hallucinations?
Well, we'll get to that too. But
Robert Redford would beg to differ that this was stress-induced hallucination.
but you know, there is being under that kind of stress, even when you're going out, not knowing what's going to happen. You know, your life is being threatened at all times when you're out on patrol. Now,
Yeah.
the amount of
It's war.
It's war. So I can kind of see this. Your mind does play some serious tricks on you when you're stressed. But for a whole platoon, for 6 to 10 trained soldiers to all have the same hallucination is asking a
Right.
bit much.
And to have this hallucination and then find weird physical
Foot, you know, tufts of hair.
evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And shit.
And big piles of shit.
Well, I mean, you don't the poop. The poop is up in the air. That
No,
could
it's on
have
the ground.
could have been that could have been Vietnamese human poop. You never know with them motherfuckers.
You never know.
Them jungle dwellers, they be eating tarantulas and shit. Can you imagine what a tarantula shit looks like? I doubt that it looks like a traditional poop.
I don't know.
I mean, it probably looks like gross Legos.
Probably.
Like Lincoln Logs. Could you imagine if we shit Lincoln Logs and every time we pooped it built a structure?
With a log cabin.
Like, like there's a little Taj Mahal and be like, Indian guy dumped here.
Another thing skeptics like to say, we're moving off the shit.
What kind of person left that dump? Well, that looks like an Atlanta trap house. I'll leave that up to your imagination, Jim.
Another skeptical thought is
All of them?
Viet Cong trickery. But this is also unlikely.
It was funny.
Not
what I
because
thought.
don't make a height joke either. Which you were thinking about it. I know you were. But they found no gear, no what was it, a ghillie suit.
Yeah.
This is maybe one of these Viet Cong were fans of the
Maybe it was just Ewoks. I mean, really, an Ewok basically would be an Asian Bigfoot.
yes. But no, like I said,
They
no,
talk the same, too.
no casualties. No, they shot nothing. In 10 and 15 minutes of rapid fire, they shot nothing. They never found any kind of gear. So this is also unlikely.
Yeah, that's so unlike. Like, you would hit shit that you didn't even know was there.
I mean, you would think firing into the jungle, you're going to hit some kind of
Even if it was just a innocent
jungle
aminal.
unicorn.
A unicorn?
I learned something on this doing this research.
There's jungle unicorns?
Yes,
What color are they?
a brown. But you would think you
Yeah,
would
that
hit
makes
some kind of
sense.
animal in the jungle.
A jungle unicorn is brown instead of glitter and fucking just sprinkles crack dust as it runs.
Yeah. This incident quickly became the cornerstone of the Rock Ape legend. It had been passed down in marine stories, forums, and fringe cryptid circles, still cited in documentaries and cryptozoology books. If it was just a monkey, why were these Marines so rattled?
Because they were all on acid.
And they were all high as fuck. Now, let's get into some of the tribal
Except Forrest Gump.
He just ran.
I saw a little monkey man and I was running.
See, this is why I don't like doing Asian topics, because I can't pronounce Dong Den. I can handle that.
I bet you can. I bet you can handle Dong Den.
Oh, I can handle a dong in a den.
You're fruitier.
Dong?
You're fruitier than the Chiquita Banana Girl's hat.
The locals
Walking
have
around looking like Pauly Shore and son-in-law at that Halloween party.
yes, the locals do have a name for these creatures. Go ahead, Travis.
Nguoi Rung.
Nguoi Rung or something like that. I actually.
Whoa, you're getting close.
I looked it up.
That was a hard.
I looked up the phonetic spell. I was like, oh, fuck it, I don't know. Basically translate to as the forest people, and they say stay out of the trees. Basically, stay out of the jungle. Keep your asses out of the jungle. Now, what are the
You stay out jungle, white boy.
what are the characteristics of these rock apes? This is where we're going to get racist, people. Height anywhere from 5 to 7 foot. So they are small Bigfoots.
7 foot's not tiny.
For
okay.
Bigfoot,
Okay, here.
what the fuck was that? Wazoo?
Nguoi Rung.
Wazoo?
Nguoi Rung.
They got
Nguoi Rung.
right up the wazoo? What the fuck is that?
Nah, I do not know why.
Their build is stocky, heavily muscular, and bipedal, reddish brown or dark gray covering on their entire body. Their faces are flat, more human-like than a chimp.
Of course they are.
Or a gibbon. Their behavior, they tend to travel in small...
Chimps don't have flat faces. I wouldn't say a chimp
no,
has a
I
flat
wouldn't
face.
exactly. No, I would. A gorilla, yes, has a flatter face.
Kinda. I would say an orangutan does.
Yes.
King Louis.
I'm the king of the jungle.
Kim Jong Louis.
Oh, they're said, like I said,
You're allowed to make racist Asian jokes about Kim Jong Un. That's okay.
That's perfectly acceptable. Like I said, they travel in small groups. They're aggressive towards intruders. I think a platoon of Marines with
Fucking
rifles
guns.
would be reason for them to be aggressive.
They were aggravated by all the Creedence Clearwater Revival they were listening to.
That would aggravate the fuck out of me too.
It is a good band, but god damn it, every Vietnam movie, some folks bone, man to wear the flag. I'm like, I get it. All right, it's America. We got it. What's is this Springsteen next?
They're known for throwing large rocks with accuracy, so they got pinpoint accuracy.
Well, yeah, they're
unlike the fucking Marines who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. They had stormtrooper fucking energy.
Yeah, that's to be expected. Look at all Asian pitchers.
Right. They all often make high pitched screeches and howls. Habitat is dense jungle and mountain regions, which I did not know there was a lot of mountains in Vietnam. I was not aware of that.
I mean, it's a pretty. All of those regions are pretty. Varied,
yeah, but
if you will.
But apparently they can be found, or there are reports of them being seen or come across in the Annamite Mountains between Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. Laos.
Like fucking Khan Supanusampone from King of the Hill. What? The Asian neighbor from King of the Hill is from Laos. Because the super racist, Hank Hill's super racist dad called it. They came in, when they first met him, they're having this conversation. He said, so are you Chinese or Japanese? He said, we're from Laos, we're the ocean. Small country between like Vietnam and Cambodia. He's like, population 4.1 million. And then they were like, they just stared at him and went, so are you Chinese or Japanese? And he said, we're Laos, we're Laos. He said, the ocean? What ocean? And then his racist dad came up that was in World War II, and he's like, Dad, this is my neighbor Khan. I think he's Chinese. And he just stares up at him with his little beady eyes, and he goes, no, he ain't. He's Laotian. Aren't you, Mr. Khan? And then he says, yes. And then after they talk for a minute, he goes, Mr. Khan, my bags. He just walks away.
Now, when you can't talk about Bigfoot, North American or Asian, without talking about smell.
They do tend to stank.
They apparently
does the Yeti smell?
I don't know. It's too cold. Nobody can fucking.
That's what I'm saying.
shit.
I've never heard of. I don't know if I've ever heard a particular odor about Yeti. I think that might be the only one. What's the Australian one? Like the
Huawei or no, that's a fucking.
That's the Chinese. That's the Chinese phone brand. Yeah, fuck it. Maybe that's what this was. Maybe. It was a Huawei. It was a Huawei XC90.
They basically described. They're often described as smelling like wet dog.
Ew.
Or with garbage. That's what the soldiers, these highly accurate with rifle soldiers, described the smell. The
garbage.
native people of Vietnam have been seeing this for years. Long before American troops entered Vietnam, the people of the highlands already knew the jungle was alive with these creatures.
That's every story.
Yeah.
That's every like large bipedal ape has that backstory with the locals.
Most of the native people that date back in any civilization, any country, they are deeply spiritual and traditionally shamanic. Just like our Native Americans over here.
Well, because they're Asian.
Right. That's true. They believe everything has a spirit. Trees, mountains, etc. etc., etc., etc.
Pocahontas.
Right. The jungle is watched over by these forest spirits or guardians. If you violate sacred areas without permission, can bring misfortune. It almost sounds like an Asian wrote this.
You think?
Illness or even death. So I think invading a country would be considered, I don't know, violating sacred area.
Well, and also like unknowingly trampling through the forest with, you don't know what's out there. I mean, they'd be finding fucking remnants of civilizations and temples and shit all the time out there.
That's true.
So they're probably like taking shits and they're like, look at this thing's made out of stone. This is good, secure shitting spot.
Yeah.
And that's where they like sacrifice babies to their gods for like 2,000 years. And some pissed off monkey man's in the woods, like doing the single tear, like the Native American guy in the commercial.
Who wasn't Native American
He was
at all.
Italian.
Yeah. Oh, I was really upset. I was offended when I found that out.
It was so convincing.
He was.
Like, man, them olive-skinned sons of bitches.
The spirits, the natives believe these spirits could take animal, human, or hybrid forms, much like a skinwalker, I believe.
Oh, so we got wendigos going on.
Right, and are known to be territorial. They don't see these creatures as cryptids, per se, or legends. They believe these are real.
If this was... So, if this is their wendigo, would we pronounce it with a P here? Be a pendigo here, be a wendigo over there. Just like when you go to a Chinese place and they're like, you want Wepsi? Die a Wepsi.
The natives have long told stories of these guardians throwing stones to scare people off, sabotaging tools and weapons, mimicking human voices to lure and confuse, which is very Wendigo and Skinwalker Ranchy, or Skinwalker-ish.
Yeah.
Can cause people to become spirit sick, which basically means that would explain the large droppings in the woods,
The huge
in the
shit that
jungle.
they found. I love that they made it a point to document that they found a big inhuman shit in the woods. That's not, so? Oh, you found possible animal shit in the middle of the jungle? No way. Congratulations, Corporal.
Well,
I don't think you've cracked this case wide open.
This. You know, you talk about, these nature, these people live, I don't want to say live out, like Survivor Man.
Subsistence people.
That live out, that are experts in sustaining themselves out in.
Survivalists.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Bear Grylls.
And they talk about.
But with Best Western.
They talk about, like, how did the word scat come to be shit?
I know scat as a sick method of making music. I'm a scat man.
Or, you often hear about bear scat and
that is
Bigfoot
a good
scat.
Well, it's scat porn. That's what they call it. That's what they call it.
Is that where you get shat on?
Yeah.
Nice.
Shat upon, 2 girls, 1 cup.
Anyway.
Did you ever see that video?
No.
You never saw 2 girls, 1 cup?
I don't think so.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's like it's a true piece of art from the mid 2000s.
These local tribes take these guardians, which we're going to basically, I think we can put, they believe these Bigfoots are the guardians of the jungle. Not from Cleveland. Guardians, get it? Never mind.
You could have made a joke with not like
very shamanic.
Cleveland baseball players in Cincinnati, Guardians of the Jungle. Only Bengals fans.
Like I said, they take these very seriously. So, and they often offer up, if they're going to hunt in these areas, which these native people do have to hunt in the jungle.
They're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
They offer up, food as token or to buy entrance into.
So it's very traditional
right.
shit, like across the board.
Right.
Okay. It syncs up with a lot of shit that happens in the United States, Canada. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Hispanic something or others.
Yeah.
Or the I want to go into the dinosaur in the Congo.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Yeah, that's one of the fucking African cryptids. Apparently there's a fucking dinosaur species still alive in the Congo, they say.
Nice.
Allegedly, obviously.
When U.S. soldiers described large, hairy, man-like creatures in the jungle,
Those were Italians.
local guides and the Monagard tribes, I don't even know, I guess that's a tribe. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it.
Mont retard.
Whatever.
Montagnard.
Anyway, these tribes did not react in disbelief. Belief. They reacted in recognition. They said, "Yeah, you ran across the Guardians,
the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Guardians of the Jungle."
So, were the soldiers hallucinating or stumbling into a living jungle with a living myth?
Probably.
Maybe.
Those jungles are fucking crazy.
Now, imagine sleep deprivation, Agent Orange, 110 degrees with humidity. What the fuck would these motherfuckers see?
God. That's
Exactly.
what I would see. I would off myself.
I think you literally...
Don't do that. If you or anybody you care about is thinking about hurting yourself,
There's a
contact
hotline.
the suicide prevention hotline or speak to a very close friend.
And he'll probably tell you, never mind.
Stop being a fucking pussy. Jared.
If you were...
So you diddled a couple kids for sandwiches. Don't worry about it. You know what we did in high school, motherfucker.
You know, of course, the sleep deprivation,
We ding-dong ditched a blind guy and didn't run.
the threat of your life being exterminated at any moment when out on patrol, the immense heat. It's hot as fuck in the jungle. It's always humid.
There's monkey men.
I think the hallucination is very plausible. However, 10 guys having all, there's always a few candy asses in the bunch, but not all 10. And these were Marines. I'm going to give the Marines credit. They're tough. Wasn't the fucking Coast Guard.
They are known for being dumb ones, though.
Yeah. But
I showed a Marine that I know. I was like, I almost bought this for you. It was a wood carving of the Marines. What do they call that? It's not a logo for a military branch. It's a badge or whatever.
Okay.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful. I can't think of it, but it was that. It was a wood carving of that on like a thing of Crayolas, and I had a big bite mark out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I almost bought this for you. He's like, that's awesome. I was like, oh, well, yeah, you're really proving those stereotypes, huh?
But there is such a thing, there is a theory called the war zone hallucination theory.
Shield, I think that's what they call it.
Okay, shield. But a war zone hallucination theory. When the body breaks down, the mind will fill in the blanks. In combat zones, these hallucinations can be triggered by extreme sleep deprivation, malnutrition, dehydration, toxic chemical exposure, Agent Orange, napalm, residue all over the fucking place.
Acid, weed,
prolonged
shitty jungle
adrenaline,
weed.
and hypervigilance, psychological trauma, and fear-based whatever. Soldiers in Vietnam... Dissociation, there you go. Experience, like I said, 100-plus degrees heat, jungle heat, insect swarms, trench foot, leeches, weeks of minimal sleep on night patrol. There is more... Plus, let's talk about the drugs.
Yeah. You think that's what they called it?
What, drugs?
No, they were like, oh, let me tell you about when I ran into trench foot out in them woods.
I think so. Because Lieutenant Dan was always talking about taking care of your boots.
No, I'm talking about the beast.
Oh.
They should have named it trench foot.
Oh,
Takes
gotcha.
big old stinky shits. He got red hair, takes big shits. He's like Carrot Top.
Now, often soldiers will come across shadow figures in tree lines.
That's the drugs. No, that realistically, I could see that being a real thing. You're going to see a lot of crazy shit. It's not there.
Hearing voices, phantom radio chatter, misidentifying animals as human or vice versa. hearing footsteps or whispers when alone. Some Vietnam vets even reported feeling followed by things they could not see. So, I mean, but, and we'll kind of dive into this a little bit more a little bit later in the podcast, they were doing a lot of drugs. They were given weed and LSD, and they were in full supply. So a lot of these soldiers, I'm not judging, were high as fucking...
I would have been too.
They were sky high. And I think if I was in a war, my ass would either be high or drunk at all times.
You'd just be like MASH.
Yes. I have my own still.
You'd just be like, what's his name? The guy that played Hawkeye. Can't remember the actor's name.
Alan Alda.
Yeah. Hey, come on, toots.
Hot lips.
Solid show. Slept on show.
Excellent show.
It took me until I became an adult to appreciate that.
Is this me or our views up for this episode? Wow. Maybe people like big, bald...
Bigfoot?
Big feet. Okay. Now...
Asian Bigfoot? That's this tall?
That's 5 foot. Oh, and I don't think it's in here, but the cast... I know it's in here. Hold on, let me check. Oh, yeah, here we go. Did I not write that down? I thought I wrote that down. The cat, I didn't write it down, but I know it. I believe this incident that we're talking about in 66, they reported the footprints that they found were about 13 inches. Or no, I'm sorry, 12 inches, I believe.
It's a solid foot for an Asian.
I mean, I wear a size 13 foot, or for 13 shoe. I mean, and I'm no Bigfoot. Now there's a question that
You would be in Vietnam though.
I'll be a giant.
Probably. I mean, to think about it, how many giant Vietnamese people you ever heard of?
I don't know.
China, they get a lot of gigantism, but I think that's just a population thing. There's so many of them that you get more Yao Mings.
Should be. Now let's talk. We here
want a peanut?
We here at the GITM podcast, we will bring science into this. Science versus cryptid.
We'll do really well, too.
Vietnamese scientists cast a footprint in 1982. Primatologists can't explain it. What does modern science say about the footprints and fur that was found in Vietnam?
They're Asian.
They don't know. Let's see. The alleged evidence during this rock ape gunfight. Like I said, the large footprint described as...
That would be a great, like, fucking...
Rock ape gunfight?
That'd be a great band name.
Now,
like a grunge band. Ladies and gentlemen, Rock Ape Gunfight.
I was wrong. 14 to 16 inches was... It was wider than and longer than a human's foot, nearly 14 to 16 inches in length. So, a little bit bigger than my foot.
I mean, if it's only 5 feet tall, though, that's pretty solid.
That's...
It must have been looking like a hobbit.
That must have been hung like a freaking...
Could it have been some type of pygmy Gigantopithecus?
It very well could be. The footprint was found in the mud of the soft forest floor. Like I said, they found it the morning after the gunfight. A bipedal stride, not like an ape. Soldiers noted a distinct heel-to-toe gait. So heel to toe.
So they did have a Native American guy that was like, he walks on heel to toe.
Some accounts say the prints were in a place too rocky or remote for a barefoot person to be just wobbling around out in barefoot.
Okay, there's a little bit of a hole in that though, because our feet are weak as fuck now. Because we wear the shoes that we wear. Like, our feet and our backs and shit and the alignment of our bodies are not made to wear the shoes that we have. That's why our feet and backs are so easily hurt now.
Correct.
So if somebody never wore those things, they would be much more apt. It's just like people that live in the Amazon have traditionally like weirdly sized and proportioned feet. They'll be wider than like a normal person's foot and shit because they're used to doing shit like that.
Well, I don't like to walk around barefoot or...
I don't mind it.
But our bottoms of at least my feet, I can only speak for mine, are soft because of socks and shoes. And
yeah, they're not supposed to be.
I walked out to get something out of my car on that blacktop.
Mm-hmm.
it lit my ass up.
Well, it's also been 115 degrees
Well,
here.
it was the texture of the blacktop. It wasn't.
Yeah, that doesn't
concrete.
bother me.
That bothered the shit.
I was
out of me.
barefoot a lot as a kid, though.
But I remember being barefoot a lot as a kid as well. So I was like, when did I become a puss?
From wearing fucking Nikes and shit.
Apparently.
It's amazing. All these little fucking pygmy Vietnamese people that they've probably they're probably making the shoes that are making us weak.
They're bringing us down one fucking soul at a time.
The prophecy's true.
Okay.
The guardians of the galaxy are coming for us.
Let's dive into the tufts of hair that was found. It was found snagged on tree bark, broken branches, and rocks in the area of the encounter. The creature, whatever it was, did move. It wasn't there because they didn't see it and they didn't hit it.
Well, I mean, the way these guys were shooting, I feel like it would have been better off just standing in the same place.
Don't move. It won't hit you if you don't
Like
move.
a T-Rex.
It was just described as long, coarse, and wiry.
Wiry. He's wiry. I'm wiry.
Similar to horsehair. Submarines.
Horsehair?
Horse.
Horse.
Horse, not horsehair. Horse.
I'd assume it's
There's
probably
an
similar.
S in there.
I would imagine
No
it's-
W.
It's got to be similar.
From my experience. Yeah.
Horsehair might actually be nicer.
Yeah. Submarines claimed they collected samples
Of the shit.
of the hair as of right now. I'm sure some collected the shit too, intending to turn them in, but they were either lost during redeployment, dismissed by commanding officers, confiscated, and never returned.
That probably went well in that time period.
Yeah.
They're like, what, you got a lock of your boyfriend's hair, Nancy?
Now, apparently there was a little bit of trace blood and trace fluid. So not only did the Bigfoot take a dump,
It bled.
it pissed on a tree too.
Oh, good.
It marked its territory. Your bullets mean nothing to me.
Yeah, it took the time to take a shit and piss on a tree.
I misspoke. Blood splatter was reported on tree trunks and rocks,
You know,
but unlike human blood. Here I have a problem.
that happened at the same time as the poop.
Probably. Maybe it was in the poop.
That's what I'm saying. But, you know, now that I think about the poop, them finding the shit is not that weird, because could you imagine getting shot at for 15 minutes? I'd probably be running and shitting at the same time, too.
Well, here, I'm going to explain this real quick.
All are interesting things.
What?
You would think that it would be like a shit trail.
No,
Because you would
Bigfoot's
think
like a person, so it swats probably.
well, yeah, but it's getting shot
Have you
at.
ever taken a dump outside?
Yeah,
It's fucking freeing.
many.
Freeing.
It's the best time to have diarrhea.
You know, and they say that is the way we're designed to actually relieve ourselves.
To squat down and shit. Yeah,
The
squatty
way our toilets are
Yeah.
is actually horrible for our
yeah,
for
that's why everybody has squatty potties.
have you seen those toilets that are designed
The ones that are just holes.
no you sink, it's like this and you sink down into it, so you're like in a squatting position.
Have you seen the holes toilets in Asia, certain Asian countries? It's literally just like, it's like porcelain with like a little bit of texture where you put your feet, and then it's just a hole, and you just squat down and you just have a shit. Yeah.
Do you really have one, or you give one?
Well, I think it sounds a lot more classy when you say, excuse me, I must have a shit, as opposed to, hey, I gotta go pinch off a mean growler.
But this blood, I don't think this was blood. That's why I said earlier.
It was shit.
It was
And blood.
It was described as not being human, like I just said. It was described as dark and almost black, thick.
The blood.
Right, we're talking blood right here. So
That
basically,
could have been shit blood
no.
from
I think
up in the digestive tract.
I think the said Bigfoot just had the shorts.
It literally, well, I mean, it's jokey and everything, but that very well could have been. He might have caught a bullet through his digestive system, and blood enters the digestive system past a certain point. It comes out very dark brown or black because it like gets caustic on its way through.
Right. No field testing was ever done. Obviously,
No,
they didn't test any of this.
they're too busy
like
doing acid.
Like I said, they shot for 10 plus minutes of automatic gunfire. No bodies. They couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, or they were whacked out of their mind on drugs. Some speculate the creatures were wounded but fled, while others suggest something more unusual: rapid decay, concealment, or non-physical beings. What the ever-loving fuck? Rapid decay?
In the jungle?
8 hours.
Potentially enough.
No, I can
potentially enough that you wouldn't notice it walking through.
I don't think.
I'm pretty sure they've time lapsed it where like a jungle can like pretty much completely overtake and break down a body of an animal in like 24 hours.
Yeah. With the scavengers, they've done it. I've seen
and
it.
The bugs, mostly the bugs.
I've seen it in the North American forest. Time lapse of how quick a deer carcass will. That's to justify why we haven't found any
Bigfoot carcasses,
right?
Or that they bury their dead.
That's true.
I like that one.
Concealment.
No, this thing was
that's what they mean by concealment. So
yeah, this thing was just
no Bigfoot left behind.
This thing was just Arnold Schwarzenegger into the wall when he put the mud on his face. He just
yeah, and the non-physical beings. This is what where cryptozoologists and these people lose me when you talk about Bigfoot being
like astral beings
and
like interdimensional and shit. Yeah,
you lose me a little there. I can firmly
fucking cool.
I can firmly be down with a Gigantopithecus. Maybe didn't go. A form of Gigantopithecus may still be lurking around. I can get down with that.
But them being interdimensional beings is a bit
you lose me, or alien, or whatever. That's where you fucking lose me.
It's cool though.
If your name was Sky and you wore beads, yes, I guess.
I mean, it's a cool thought.
Anyway, where was I at? At least one soldier from a different unit has reported online and in encrypted books claimed that they did turn in a hair sample and a plaster footprint to the military higher-ups. He said it was sent to Saigon for analysis and never mentioned again.
How the fuck would they do that? Do it in Saigon?
Well, that's probably where the brass was. No military lab reports.
The brass was a lot.
Were ever released. Documents or photos, anything. Nothing has ever been released about this from the
because it probably doesn't exist anymore if it ever happened, if it was ever a thing.
Now, there were unofficial orders to stay quiet. Some veterans said that they were discouraged from filing reports or told, like I said, you shot monkeys. You're not going to write that up.
PETA's going to have a field day.
Others said their CEOs mocked them or warned them off the topic. Now,
so like the giant of Kandahar.
Yes. And here's the thing. If you remember our episode, the Mount St. Helens Bigfoot, where there is that theory that there is some sort of, I don't want, lack of a better word, I don't remember exact treaty between the U.S. or the government and these Bigfoots.
Yeah.
There were reports of soldiers going in and when Mount St. Helens blew and removing bodies of Bigfoots, basically.
Yeah.
And I believe one was even seen alive, was seen in the back of a truck talking with a higher up.
He's got one of those fucking Mylar blankets on.
Yeah.
He's sipping hot cocoa.
So if you believe that story, then there could be something to this with people higher up in the military ranks would probably have some sort of knowledge of this, if it is a treaty or whatever the hell it is. Like I said, I'm not 100% behind this, but it does kind of make sense.
I can't say I'm 100% behind this U.S. government treaty with Bigfoot.
Now, the next thing is what I can get behind. I can be down with this shit. Gigantopithecus. What if rock apes weren't hallucinations, but survivors of something ancient?
Which is the most likely scenario for any of these Bigfoot stories.
Gigantopithecus was a massive ape-like creature that lived in Southeast Asia, estimated to have gone extinct around 100,000 to 300,000 years ago.
Which is not that long ago.
No, in the time span of the Earth, not that long ago. Fossil remains were found in China, Vietnam, Thailand, including the caves near where the rock ape sightings have taken place, and this
maybe it was a residual haunting of Gigantopithecus.
Yeah. Based on fossilized jawbones and teeth, scientists estimate that Gigantopithecus was upward of 10 feet tall, over 1,000 pounds, likely ground-dwelling dwelling herbivore, but very elusive. I have a problem though. How can looking at a few jawbones and teeth can you tell that the motherfucker was elusive? I can get herbivore and all that. I have to be bullshit.
You probably go off of signs of injury and
On a tooth?
yeah, and jawbones and shit. They look. It's just like how they fucking can hypothesize on how like mummified cavemen were killed.
Educated guess.
Well,
They
yeah.
think-
But like you can look at shit like that and like and you're like if you've never found one that had like some type of traumatic injury, pretty good chance that it wasn't getting in many altercations.
Well, maybe it was just a docile. It wasn't. It was like Harry from.
I don't
Harry
think
and the
docile
Hendersons.
like really plays in the primate world if you think about it though.
But they have no full skeletons have ever been fucking found. They're just looking at a
Because
couple.
they're all still alive.
Looking at a jawbone, a couple jawbones, a couple molars. Oh, this is elusive. No, because you think a creature like this would be elusive. So you're taking your scientific fucking evidence of looking at something and saying it's elusive because that's what you believe. Or you
can't find any signs of injury on it or other specimens of creatures found in that area.
I will buy your injury if we had a full skeleton, looking at one full skeleton of one full actual
And the
animal.
crazy thing is, like, we very well might. They just don't know it.
I guess.
Like most of that shit, most prehistoric creatures that we have, like bones of and shit like that, most of them are not complete. You know what I mean? Like T-Rex was kind of pieced together for like 100 years until they filled in the blanks.
I don't even think most of the bone, it's all, and some of it's not even bone. Isn't some of those skeletons plaster? They
Same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Just come with sawdust in it.
there is a Vietnamese scientist named Tran Hong Viets.
One day late.
He did do some research into the
Tran Hong.
Viet. He did do some research into the Bigfoot phenomena or the Guardians or whatever you want to call
I
it.
bet he did.
He's best known for his work in biology and zoology. Formerly a deputy director of the Center for Environmental and Biological Resources in Hanoi.
I'm sure that does a lot of good for everybody. I'm sure that they don't have any problem getting anything done as a in the province of Hanoi of biology and shit. They're like, nobody give a fuck. Everybody dies starvation. You want to find the caterpillars and shit. Fuck you, Tran Hong.
He became one of the only researchers in Vietnam to take reports of Bigfoot sightings seriously from a scientific perspective.
Fuck you, Tran
Which is
Hong.
what well, let's be honest, this is what we need. We need scientists to look at it scientifically, just not, do actual research, just not.
That was very well said.
Yeah.
We need scientists to look at it scientifically.
Well, instead of letting
I
their
need
biases.
I need a scientist to look at this mathematically and tell me what's going
A
on.
math scientist.
I need an art teacher to look at this from a historical standpoint.
In 1982, a local man found footprints and he claimed to have seen a large hairy creature near a stream.
That was his mother-in-law.
Dr. Viet traveled to the site and took a plaster cast of a print around 11 to 12 inches long. Oh, this must be where I got the 12-inch thing.
He made that's a clone of Willie of his lover.
Yeah. Broad heel, pronounced toe splay, resembling human shape, but too large for an average person. 11, like I said earlier, 11 and 12 is not that fucking big, people.
And there it probably is. Have you ever ordered a shirt from Asia?
No.
If I order my size of shirt in Asia, it's a children's small.
Right. No visible arch, which is common in primate feet, but usually unusual for humans. For the people, it's not a good take. Dr. Viet noted it's similar to a human foot, but too wide and proportionally different. If it was made by a man, it would have been someone deformed or with that underwent foot binding. So Dr. Viet did not,
which I think was traditionally Chinese.
Yeah. Dr. Viet did not claim it was proof of the Bigfoot, but admitted the print did not match any known animal in the region. No hoax evidence was ever found that this was, some dickhead with a wood,
Right.
stamp. The man who found the track had no motive to fake it and he was legitimately terrified.
Could you imagine that? A local in an area like this, be like, "Doctor, do you think the man could have faked this evidence?" Be like, "This motherfucker can't read. You shitting me? Look at him." And the guy's just sitting there with 2 teeth and a lit cigarette.
Dr. Viet called for further scientific investigation, which surprisingly never materialized at the government level. But at least one of his casts was reportedly kept at his university lab in Hanoi for years.
This is like an American elementary school.
Yeah. Dr. Viet's claim cast remains...
A Hanoi lab is just a Western bathroom with some beakers.
The doctor's cast remains the most concrete piece of Bigfoot evidence ever collected in Southeast Asia.
Good job, Tran Hong. It sounds like a fucking unlocked character from Street Fighter.
Maybe.
Tran Hong.
It suggests that something large, bipedal, and unidentified left a footprint in a remote Vietnamese jungle, the same region in which the Marines had their gunfight, where they hit air and trees. They killed a bunch of fucking trees.
Bastards.
They killed some bamboo, but didn't kill a Bigfoot.
There's no way. Bamboo's far too strong.
Yes. Where did the hair sample come from? That's a question.
These nuts.
It was reportedly collected after the 1960s encounter and in the 80s by Dr. Viet in Laos and Cambodia. Soldiers claim to have found this hair, as stated earlier. Researchers like Dr. Viet retrieved similar hair samples that these soldiers reportedly found.
And there's traditionally not a lot of redheads in the region.
Right. There's not a lot of Irish people. The results were basically inconclusive. In the 60s and 80s, DNA testing of wildlife and primates wasn't advanced enough to really dive into it too hard. Especially in the 60s, 80s, I'm sure it was better. But still what it is today. Plus they Hong Viet said the roots and stuff were too damaged or degraded. Some samples may have been contaminated by human contact, water, or environmental factors. Results have been
factors like being stored in Vietnam.
Yeah. The results of his hair samples that he collected basically have been classified as unidentified, but not unknown.
The fuck does that mean?
I don't know. Now, if a giant ape still exists today, the Vietnam jungle would be the perfect place to hide.
Oh, yeah.
It is so fucking dense. The Vietnam Mountains and surrounding forests are among the most biologically dense and least explored regions in Southeast Asia. Plentiful food sources, fruit, bamboo, small game. Even now, satellite imagery has a hard time, or it can't, in most cases, even penetrate the jungle canopy to basically effectively map the area.
So all the heroin comes from there now.
That's true.
The golden triangle.
Right. It's difficult to track movement and populations due to the denseness of the forest.
Density.
Many valleys and cave systems in the region remain completely uncharted. New species still being discovered even today. Over the last 30 years, scientists have discovered dozens of new species in the regions, including the Saola,
the
Asian unicorn.
Yeah,
discovered in 1992.
I've seen one of those, not in real life.
It's just, I don't even know why I call it unicorn. It's not on the nose. It's just two little pointy things. I had to look it up.
Yeah, Saola
looks like a deer with laid back fucking horns. The
Laotian rock rat.
I would say Laotian.
Lusitania.
Rock rat thought extinct for 11 million years.
Don't think that's changing anybody's life. But
Numerous
cool.
bats, frogs, and plant species have been found that were previously unknown.
We got to have more bats and frogs.
Yeah. A small, low-density population of nocturnal, highly intelligent primates could feasibly survive undetected, especially if they actively avoided human contact, which is what the rock apes reportedly do.
They just hang out with the rock rats.
If these things are real, why would the military want to keep it from us? Now let's talk about, and why were the soldiers told to keep their mouth shut? So, no, there's no official military records on rock apes. We just have the accounts of the soldiers who lived it. They were told, you're not going to write this up. It didn't happen. The U.S. military has historically documented everything, including UFO sightings, enemy rumors, and unusual animal behavior in the area when we're at war. They document everything. But why do they not? Why is there nothing on this encounter?
Because they're using all of these giant bipedal primates that are found around the world, genetically modifying them and implanting their genes into human beings to try to create some type of jungle-dwelling super soldier.
Sure. Okay. We'll go with that.
This is just, I find that to be as valid as any other fucking thought.
Naturally, let's get a little conspiratorial. Could there be a cover-up to protect morale or avoid panic? During Vietnam, the military was already facing collapsing troop morale because they were, nobody wanted to fucking be there. Plus all the protests going on back here in the States about the war. They did not want any strange or crazy press possibly to, make things harder for the U.S. government in this time.
They didn't want another sign everywhere sign.
Yeah, a story that soldiers were being attacked by unknown jungle monsters, that was not something that the U.S. government wanted to see on the evening news. So, I mean, that does kind of make sense. I kind of see that to a certain extent.
Unless you told them it was like, you should have just told them they were fucking Nazi monkeys. Then everybody would have been like, get in there. Blow that whole forest up. Level that place.
Cover-up theory number 2. Classified biological knowledge. Some theorists believe that the U.S. government knew that they were there and they were actually monitoring the situation, which kind of goes back to the Mount St. Helens episode when that blew. They're monitoring these things.
I wonder if the Cubans were involved, because this might be how you get Yoel Romero, the former UFC fighter.
Yeah.
You ever seen anybody talk about him? They say he's a Cuban experiment.
Maybe.
Like his fucking like broke his orbital bone in a fight, and like by the next day that he went to see the doctor, it was like already starting to heal and shit.
I've heard
he
that.
Basically fucking light-skinned it black Wolverine.
That's true. Now, covert encounter with something non-biological is the next kind of, I don't want to say cover. It's very similar to the number 2, but a more fringe theory suggests rock apes weren't biological creatures, interdimensional entities. Not common.
Aliens.
It's not uncommon, like I said, for in the Bigfoot world to have this theory thrown out there. Which, as I said, you lose me there. Psychotronic, there we go.
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
Projection. Hallucinations induced by unknown tech.
Cool.
What if the rock apes weren't creatures at all, but hallucination broadcast into the minds of the soldiers?
Cool.
A fringe theory rooted in the Cold War era mind control research, particularly such as MK Ultra, which we've talked about, Sotronic weapon research, the Soviet Union, they had a little theory going, or some testing going on. In this theory, microwaves or EM-based devices could be used to trigger fear responses, create hallucinations, project auditory and visual phenomena directly into the brains of the targets via EM fields. Not one of the questions that were not out of this isn't out of the question. If you think about
Porky Pigged it.
Yeah. If you think about the amount of drugs these guys were doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging. I'd be
Lack of sleep, exhaustion, heat exhaustion, hunger, dehydration. Yeah, I mean, it's...
And let's be honest, it's not out of the realm of possibility that the U.S. government is doing some sort of testing on unknowing subjects.
Because they are.
Can you say the Tuskegee experiment?
I can say it, but I don't know if I can spell it.
I couldn't, but I know what they were fucking doing.
That shit goes a lot deeper than people think it does.
MK Ultra, Operation Midnight Climax.
They should still be fucking paying people for that shit.
Yes. But
They're not, but they fucking should be.
Operation Climax. All these fucking things were
Operation Climax is a fucking thing.
But the U.S. government has a history, and as all governments do, I'm not picking on the U.S. government. All governments have a history of experimenting on their populations.
Yeah, that's why we stole so many Nazi scientists.
Right.
Because they knew shit that we didn't know because their government, their crazy ass leader allowed them to do shit that we, from a what's the word I'm looking for? From a moral standpoint, wouldn't allow our government to do.
Right.
Even though they probably were.
And, in a future episode that I've been working on, the government does some shady shit, and we're going to talk about it. But the government...
we do every week.
The government does test on people. Don't ask permission.
Yeah, they're probably doing... They're doing it on us
right now.
Hey. You think they're not doing that shit through TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that shit? Like, 100%. They're doing it on a daily basis.
But think about what was that thing in Cuba? Where people...
Cigars.
Went crazy.
Sandwich.
No, where people went crazy in was it the U.S. Embassy? Or started hearing things.
I don't know.
There was like an EMP device they thought.
Oh, no, this is a new one.
Oh, no, this happened years ago.
This is a new one for me. I've never heard of this.
Well, Havana syndrome? You heard of that? Yeah.
I thought that was diarrhea.
No, they think that there was an EMP device pointed at I believe it's the U.S. I might be getting this wrong, but a lot of people in the U.S. embassy got sick and had a lot of shit going on.
It's believable.
Mentally. They thought weapons. It was a weapon.
They have weapons like that. Like they're confirmed now. That's believable as shit.
Now, listen, this isn't the first time soldiers have saw something impossible in wartime.
This ain't your daddy's Bigfoot.
The Soviet Almas in Afghanistan. The Almas were cryptids, hominids from Central Asia folklore, described as hairy bipedal humanoids about 5 to 7 feet tall, more human-like than Western Bigfoot, or human-looking than Western Bigfoot, often seen alone or in small groups, shy, silent, but intelligent and territorial.
This is just Dagestanis.
So the Soviets...
They just saw a bunch of Habib Nurmagomedovs.
So a lot of people might not know this, because we don't teach history anymore. The Soviets tried to invade...
It's criminal.
The Soviets tried to invade Afghanistan in the 80s.
I have met in my life, in the last few years of my life, a 17-year-old Jewish person who did not know what the Holocaust was.
Really?
That's how much that we're failing to teach fucking history.
That's true. Now there have been accounts.
I've actually met a girl that went to Catholic school that didn't know what the Holocaust was.
That's nice. There have been accounts of the Soviets encountering these things. Post-war, the Russian military circles have talked about this. They claim that shots were fired at these beings, but there was no visible effect on them. So they were bulletproof. Russian
They're just so fucking yoked that bullets bounce off them.
Russian cryptozoologist Igor Burksev claimed that the Soviet military scientists had long taken the Almas seriously. Some stories suggest special units were deployed not just for recon, but to track these strange beings and keep them from interfering with the troops. They took them into account in their war tactics, essentially. No official records exist, but post-Soviet veterans have come forward anonymously in interviews and forums. World War II Japanese yokai. Supernatural creatures, spirits, or demons in the Japanese folklore. They range from mischievous tricksters to monsters.
A kappa.
Also the kappa,
Waterheads.
water goblins, oni, whatever that is.
Oni.
What is that? Yuri. Did we talk about that in that forest?
Probably.
The forest episode you did, which are often ghost, whatever the fuck that is. Faceless spirits. Tengu, bird-like forest guardians. So like the Thunderbirds.
Tengu.
As Japanese forces pushed into Papua New Guinea in the Philippines, the island jungle, soldiers began seeing bizarre sightings, shadow humanoids watching them from the trees, disembodied voices calling to them in Japanese, often mimicking their dead comrades. No, these are Japanese soldiers pushing into Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, that could just be fucking pygmies.
Faceless women or glowing figures crossing their paths while they were out and then vanishing. Entire units experiencing collective dread, feeling followed at night despite no enemy contact. Here's the thing. That's called war.
Yeah. It's war, baby.
U.S. troops in Iraq reported seeing shadow beings, possibly jinn, across multiple bases and patrol zones in Iraq. Troops began reported seeing unexplained phenomena, shadowy figures seen darting across doorways or hallways, but never picked up on thermal, infrared cameras. Voices in empty rooms, sometimes mimicking fellow soldiers. Sudden drops in temperature in the building with no power. Feelings of dread or being watched, especially near old ruins or abandoned structures. Footsteps heard on gravel or on stairs with no one there.
So normal ghost shit.
Locals often told troops the areas they were stationed in were cursed or protected by the jinn. Here's wartime, like we talked about earlier, is stressful. But if you want to take the paranormal approach, and we've talked about this before, high emotional situations imprint on the atmosphere. Could that be
a residual haunting type of deal,
or just that energy, playing out? And Afghanistan, Afghanistan has been in some sort of war for ever. It seems like.
Yeah,
they're always trying to be invaded.
Ever since Leonidas beat that ass.
But I mean, the jinn is a legitimate thing in Islamic belief. They are non-human entities made of smokeless fire. I think that's what jinn means. I can't. Can be good, evil, or simply indifferent. Can mimic, whisper, or possess, or trick humans. One Marine described a recurring figure in a guard tower as a black silhouette that wasn't cast by light. I mean,
racist.
Isn't that where the genie comes from? The jinn?
Probably.
I think so. Okay, we're wrapping her up now. Damn, we went through that 55 pages quick.
It's in 684 font.
I'm blind and old, so fuck off.
Old.
These Vietnam vets are old now, but some vets still say these things were real. They will go to the graves believing what they encountered and saying that there was 100% this happened. It wasn't a hallucination. What's harder to accept, mass hysteria or undiscovered creatures, in your mind? I mean, either one is...
In an area like that, neither. Honestly.
I mean, you have to take into account mass hysteria, but like it's for a whole platoon or a whole troop or whatever. Platoon, I believe.
In a jungle, especially in a jungle as dense and crazy as that, as those jungles out in that area, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I mean, I can't...
And plus, there were fucking, like, confirmed, like, kind of hairy jungle people in Asia during the different wars.
I think I'm gonna have to kill that dog.
What?
He's shit in the fucking living room.
I don't smell anything. You having a stroke again?
Maybe. I'm willing to bet.
It's the rock ape.
Probably. I mean, I can't fault any one of these people. If you believe any one of these, I can't I can't argue either.
Yeah, like neither of them's horrifically unbelievable to me.
Both are very plausible in my opinion.
What if he just farted straight into the fan?
Maybe. All right, but that's all I got. Let us know what you think, I guess.
I mean, it's far-fetched, but far be it for me to say anything is impossible. Kevin Garnett said it best. Anything is possible.
There you go. All right. I think that's it. I'm done. We will be back next week.
With something?
Thanks for everybody who showed up in the chat and who took time out.
A crazy conspiracy theory, like a really just nuts one that's absolutely not true, but it's fun to talk about.
Okay, whatever. But thanks to everybody for took the time to visit us and watch, even if you watched a minute of it. Thank you. We will see you next week. Take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Go listen to it on a podcast app because we need to bring those numbers back up after we took a fucking half a year vacation.